Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bear Report Podcast. This is the Bear Report Podcast, episode 82 for Thursday, August 16th, 2018. We are back, and I have two Brads at least here. We have, I think this is technically your second time on the show, but the first time
it is
a weird one. I think it was like our anniversary episode, but from all the way from the UTB land, it's UTB Brad. How's it going?
Hello there. I'm good. I feel weird without having Erica say hello, boys. I need that to get started.
Well, hello, boys. I guess we can say it that way.
I should have had her do like a recording beforehand, so
yeah, I know.
We could at least have that presence here.
She can record it for the entire podcasting network. So we'll just use it. It's gonna be really weird when I'm by myself and she says hello, boys, and there's just one of me, but. Brian D in the chat is saying 2 Brads for the price of one. There's no price of the show; it's free. But hey, if you want to start sending money, you can send it to one of us. But yeah,
we're really cheap.
Yeah, we are really cheap. Cheap dates and everything. But yeah, we're back. I'm back. I've been away for a very long time. I kind of took a little hiatus because I moved. If you guys can't tell, there's no bed behind me anymore. There's actually a living room behind me. I moved to Connecticut, back to where I was for a little bit, and then back with now living with a girlfriend, and back to doing all the Bear Reporter stuff. So if you kind of didn't notice, there was some delays in my posting and everything. That's why I am still working on my BlackBerry KEY2 review. That's on its way. It's halfway done. I just new job, new location, moving, everything like that. No time to really write as much as I want to. And
we're going to be on a Key4 before you get that thing posted.
Yeah, people keep asking me where's my BlackBerry Motion review too, and then I'm done. I haven't even attempted it. So yeah. Also, you guys have been checking out the site. You probably have noticed that there is more than one of me or one person writing on the site now. Hakeem, I don't know exactly how to say his name, but Barry over on BBM, he's now writing for us for a little bit. He's covering a lot of our UK stuff, so anything over in the UK that's happening, that's where he is. So he's doing all the coverage over there. So hopefully you guys are liking his posts and everything like that. And, yeah. So let's get to it. Since I haven't been on air on anything besides last week's YouTube blogcast, which was actually the first sighting of me, of course, but no one's really gotten my thoughts on the KEY2. We haven't heard your thoughts on the KEY2 on our show, Brett. So I figured we would just kind of let loose on the KEY2 and what we really feel about the KEY2. So you have a KEY2. I have a KEY2. You actually have a KEY2. You have a silver one, right?
Yeah.
So you went from the space black version,
right
KEYone, right? And then you went to the silver one. I kind of did the opposite of you. I went from silver to the black one. Which one do you like better?
I honestly, seeing it in black, like the original renderings of it, it just didn't look that quality to me. Then when I form of it and I saw it in silver and saw that it was the SE design, it changed everything for me. But the reason I really chose the silver, because they did give me a choice. I just thought it would show up better on camera when I was doing my videos. So seeing the black now, seeing the silver now, it's kind of a toss-up for me. I mean, I think they both look great. I really chose mine for camera presence, and I'm happy with it. I do think it gets more attention because people see that keyboard. They see that it's not just a full screen when they see all the black.
Yeah. Yeah, so as I said, my KEYone was a silver KEYone, and when I had the silver KEYone, I was really dying to get the space black version of the black edition version of the KEYone. So I really love the color of that. And now I have the KEY2 in black, which is the same color as the one I was looking for. And now part of me is kind of torn. I want to go back to the silver KEY2, but I really do. I mean, I love the color black on this. It has that like stealth look to it. just like the KEYone did. And I kind of, if you pay attention to my Instagram, I kind of made a mention of, I don't have it with me, but the Bold 9780. If you remember that device, that was the Bold after the 9700, but they space blacked that one out as well. And it kind of really looks like that device, kind of like a throwback to that, where the SE or the silver version kind of looks like a throwback to the SE version of the Passport.
Right.
So I don't think BlackBerry Mobile did it like that. I think it's just me making assumptions, but if they did, kudos to them, and I think that's a really cool concept if they're kind of making reference back to older BlackBerry devices. So what do you think of
I think the black looks sportier. I think it looks sportier and say a little classier, but I'm the type of person that I want people to see my phone and comment on it. So I think having mine be not black kind of works better for my personality.
Yeah, the silver kind of jumps out more at you, even on photos, in public, and whatnot. The cell phone, the black one's more hidden, right? The keyboard frets aren't exposed as much, which I don't like. I wish they would have just maybe done like the keyboard frets a little bit silver or something like that nature. But I still want them to do a white BlackBerry KEY2 or KEYone or Motion.
You and your white phones, man.
Hey, ever since I went to the white Passport,
I've never had a white phone. I won't do it, even if it's got a BlackBerry logo on it. Yeah. I won't do it.
I'm different. I like them in the summertime. Once the summer ends, it's like, all right, white one I can do without. It was weird too.
You've had white frame sunglasses, haven't you?
No, I've never had white frame sunglasses. But
let's check.
When the Passport came out, my review unit was a black Passport. I really liked it, and then I saw the white one. I quickly bought the white one and sent back the black one. And like a little bit afterwards, I was like, man, I kind of want to go back to that black version Passport because that had a really nice, like once I start using the device for a bit, I kind of like change my mind and kind of like that color. But what do you think of the overall device? You've used the KEYone, you used the Motion, now you're on the KEY2.
I feel dumb saying it because I swear I say it every new phone where I say this is my favorite phone of all time, and it begins losing that power when you say that so much. But this really is my favorite phone of all time. Prior to this, the KEYone was, and the KEYone felt like it was designed specifically for me. Like I felt like this is everything I wanted in a phone. And then I get this KEY2, and it really is. I think it really comes down to the keyboard for me. The difference between Nougat and Oreo, it's not that big of a deal for me. Like I'm not really noticing anything that I use in Oreo that I was missing in Nougat. But for me, it's all about my dog just turned on my TV in my other room.
Way to go, dog.
Wow, that's funny. But for me, my thing is the keyboard, and the KEY2 keyboard just feels so much better than the KEYone.
Yeah, I agree. I like the keyboard on the KEY2 a lot better than I did on the Key. Not to say that I didn't like the KEYone's keyboard. KEYone's keyboard was fine, but the KEY2 just has a nicer feel to it in the hands and just typing wise. The glossy keyboard on the KEYone just didn't work very well, and I really like the matte feel or matte finish of the KEY2's keyboard. Just feels like a better typing experience. The only thing I noticed with the keyboard is, I don't know if it's like this on yours, but the space bar is kind of noisy.
It does make a different sound. I was worried that was going to be a problem, but I've actually kind of grown to like it. I said in one of my videos, it kind of builds a cadence when you're typing. You got tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. And you kind of makes me type faster.
Yeah, I can definitely see, but it's just one of those things where like I don't mind the clickiness, but I can notice the clickiness or the sound of it. And not to say that I don't like the clickiness of the keyboard. I love it.
Yeah.
Back during the launch event, they're like, oh, we put so much effort from the Bold 9900, great device, probably one of the best keyboards out there. It just never came through a BlackBerry device. And the fact that they went back and looked at that device and listened to the clickiness and was like, all right, we're going to figure this out. But definitely is noticeable, and that's when I'm typing. It's I don't know. It's one of those things where like if I don't pay attention to it, I probably won't notice it. But when I hear it, it's like, oh man, that clickiness is kind of loud. But it's one of those things when you think back to older BlackBerry devices, especially if you're anybody who was in a boardroom or a meeting or anything like that, your thing was, I remember back in college when I had my curve, I'd be typing and you didn't want the professor or anybody else in the meeting to hear you. That space bar kind of is like, all right, if I'm typing with this device under a desk or under whoever's I'm meeting with is going to hear that space bar. I kind of have to like click, but for the keyboard, that's really my only nitpick, and it's a very small nitpick. And it's something I can look past on it. As far as the Oreo goes, I like you. I don't notice anything different in it. I notice performance-wise, it performs a lot better, and that's probably not because of Oreo. That's more because what's under the hood compared to the KEYone. There's only made the pop-out screen that you can do with like YouTube and stuff. That's a cool feature in Oreo.
Well, the KEYone had the pop-out screen.
Yeah, well, did it for everything?
It was a different type of pop-out screen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The fallout screen. That's the fallout screen. That's not that pop-out screen. Yeah, I mean the screen picture-in-picture. That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
Where you can use it for any app like Maps, or I use it for Maps or YouTube a lot. That's a really cool feature. There's actually some software things I didn't like about what they did with the KEYone. It's more BlackBerry's in too, with the convenience key, or not the control key, right? I think I mentioned this to you when I first got my KEYone or KEY2. On the KEYone, it is you can set it to do the space, or not the shift key, and C, V, or Z for copy, paste, undo, cut. On the KEYone or the KEY2, you have to program it to the $sign, which is fine if you don't use the $sign too much. But if you use the $sign throughout your day, you can't use the $sign on the keyboard, or the dollar key or the currency key on the keyboard. You have to go to symbol and then hit the $sign. So it kind of takes away a key to give you a key.
But I don't know if you... The speed key was a second shift key.
Yeah. So they took away your second shift key to give you the speed key, which is fine. We'll get to the speed key in a minute. But I don't know if that's why they did it like this. But the only way to do the control options of this shortcut is to use the currency key now.
Huh. I never used the control. I honestly didn't even know about it till you started talking about it.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the things that I really used a lot on the KEYone, and when I went to go set it up on the KEY2, like at first I couldn't find it, and I was like, oh man, did they take that away from me? That's horrible of BlackBerry to do that. And then I discovered that it's the currency keys. Like, okay, it's not as horrible, but why did they do it like that? I don't know. It's just one of those. Again, another thing that I nitpicked. Clarky in the chat says he hates that it's the currency key as well. The other software thing I kind of like this actually is the update process. Right, when you go to look for an update on your KEY2, there's no longer the BlackBerry update app, which I felt on the KEYone and the motion kind of threw people off a bit, especially if you came from a priv. Right, the priv had the software update option in the settings, and then you went to KEYone, and you went to key or motion. They had the update app, right? Now on the KEY2, there's no app for updates.
It's just back in the
it's back in the settings. So it's like I don't know if Oreo made them do it like that, or if Nougat made them do it on the KEYone and we'll have to see with the Oreo update coming to the motion and the KEYone. But
yeah, really.
I wonder why they did it like that. It's one of those things. Anything software related on your end that you see with Oreo that you're not fond of, or?
Really, I mean, the only thing I've really noticed is that picture-in-picture, and I've used it for watching videos when I'm in a BBM chat and somebody shares a video, and I've used it for the GPS so that I can get my directions while doing something else. Otherwise, there's really not much of a difference for me at all.
No, it's the same. I mean, and that's, you know, with Android P coming out, Android Pie, there's really not going to be too much visual changes that you're going to see or anything noticeable that you're going to see. It's a lot of these updates that Android is doing to the OS is really under the hood into performance wise and battery improvements. So, which is fine, you know, if Google is going to make battery life even better on my KEYone than it is now, by all means go for it. And there's a lot of cool things coming in Android Pie that you know, we'll talk about at a later date. But you know, there's a lot of these updates that they do on Android side aren't really noticeable changes, which is fine. If it's improving things behind the scenes, I'm all for that. But yeah, there's not really a big difference. Besides, again, like I said, performance is a little bit better, but I want to know how much of that is Oreo compared to the hardware. Battery life. What do you see in battery life wise?
You know, it for me, it's about the same as the KEYone. You know, I mean, I am a very heavy user. My screen is on between 70 and 80% of the day. And so I actually do recharge during the day. You know, typically around 6, 7 o'clock or so, I will find myself a plug and plug in. I did that with my KEYone, and I'm doing that with my KEY2. So I assume it's about the same. I haven't noticed a dramatic change between the two. I still use my KEYone. My KEYone is my secondary phone, and battery is awesome. Best I've had on a BlackBerry ever. But between those two phones, it feels the same. Now, I'm somebody on the Passport, man. I could never make it 8 hours on a battery charge. Yeah. You know, I remember all these people showing 2-day battery life and all this. It's like, I couldn't even make it through a day at work. Yeah. I mean, I understand. I don't dim my screen. I've got it turned up as bright as it can get. My screen's on all day long. So I expect that to happen. Never had a better battery.
Yeah, the battery life. I mean, I'm a heavy user too, and I have last time I checked was like 20 accounts in the hub. So, and they're all syncing. I don't have anything like turned off to not sync. I think some of my accounts, I have a lot of email accounts that aren't syncing like calendar and context, but other than that, it's all syncing email and social media accounts, and everything's in the hub. So you would think with all those accounts that my battery usage. I I always tell people that if you're looking for someone to test your battery, I'm probably a very good person to give your battery to, because I will tell you if it's good or bad. I mean, most days I can make it through into the next day. So I usually go a day and a half without charging on my phone. Now I came from the Motion, so I went KEYone the Motion, and Motion has fantastic battery. That would last me 2 days, for the most part, and that's got a bigger screen and everything. And when I heard the KEY2 had the slightly smaller battery than the KEYone, I was like, okay, that's, I understand why they had to reduce battery because of space and all that. Fine, great, just don't interfere with my battery life. And they haven't really. Like I said, a day and a half is what I'm getting. There are some days where I do have to charge up at the end of the night, and it's depends on how heavy of a day it has been with messaging, BBM, and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, battery life is fine. I really like that battery app that they have going, and the notifications kind of tell you when you should start charging your device, because it thinks it's going to run out. I don't pay attention greatly to it, but it is handy that it starts popping up. Like, oh, I should charge my phone. Cool. Kyle in the chat says, in his opinion, the KEY2 should be like $500 at most. $650 is just too much for me to swallow. A mediocre screen and not an amazing processor. I want the keyboard, but not the price. Well, I think that price is what you're paying for the keyboard. I don't think you're paying that price for the hardware. I think it's what you're paying for the keyboard. What do you think of the price for $650?
I have zero problems with the price. I actually get, and pardon me, Kyle, but I get really frustrated when people say that. There was just another video that was shared with me last night, some YouTuber going off about the phone, don't buy this phone, blah, blah, blah. And his reasoning was it's a small screen and it has a keyboard, right? I mean, it's like, these are the design elements that we want. The screen is fine. Is it top of the line Samsung screen? No, it's not. It's fine. And if I was somebody that wanted top of the line screen, I wouldn't be looking at BlackBerry. I want the keyboard. I want the security. I want the BlackBerry apps. And you can't tell me that what I want in a phone is less important than what, you know, the guy from Unbox Therapy wants in a phone. And saying that this phone that's designed for somebody like me in mind should be less than half the price of a Galaxy or less than half a price of an iPhone. I mean, it's like you're already at nearly half the price of those phones. How cheap do you need it to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, yeah, the processor is it's not the highest spec processor. I have not.
But there's a reason for that processor too,
yeah,
and it's your battery life.
It's your battery life, and even on the KEYone. I mean, the KEYone eventually throughout time got a little bit slower, but I think that's more Android than it is processor. Even on the KEYone, you know, that device had no issues really keeping up with what I was doing on my phone. And again, I know we always harp on this, that BlackBerry devices are more tools, not toys, right? They're more geared for people who are trying to get crap done or shit done, whatever you want to say. And you know, you have to kind of keep that in mind, that these devices are, again, we had this kind of slight discussion on UTB's podcast, that BlackBerry is the only manufacturer that makes keyboards right now. Now, whether that's a good or bad thing, that's go watch the other podcast. You'll have that discussion there. But it is the only device that has a keyboard to it, or only manufacturer that makes keyboards. So I think that $650 price tag that we're kind of seeing, that's kind of where these devices are coming out. I think the keyboard is the reason that drives that price high, because they know that this is the only device with a keyboard in it. If you want a keyboard, you want security, this is your price to pay for mission. And, you know, if you compare this device from BlackBerry KEYone or BlackBerry KEY2 versus a Samsung Note 8 or the OnePlus 6 or the iPhone 10 or whatever, yeah, the specs aren't the same. And, you know, if you want to say that the BlackBerry KEY2 is high, and you look at the Note 9 that just got announced, you know, the Note 9 is $1,000 phone compared to, and now, yeah, there's two different spec devices, and they're meant for two different audiences, right? If you go out and buy a Samsung Note 9 tomorrow, Brad, is that because you want to be productive more, or are you looking to entertain yourself more?
Consume. That's the difference. It's the difference between consumers and producers. And like, I'm sorry, Clark just said in the chat, I love the KEY2, but 650 is too high when you can get a OnePlus 6 that blows it away. The OnePlus 6 has absolutely no bearing on me. There's nothing I want about that phone, like literally nothing. So why would I be like, ooh, this phone, I can get it, and I'll save money by not getting this phone? It's like, no, because I don't want the OnePlus 6. I don't want the S9. You know, it's like, I want a keyboard. Yeah. I want my productivity suite. I want all of my BlackBerry apps. And I mean, you can't get any of those things on any other phone. You cannot get a single other Android phone that has not been hacked. And by hacked, I'm talking about rooted. There's only one company out there that can produce a phone that can't be hacked right now.
Yep.
I think that's worth $650.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, technically, you can kind of get the most of the BlackBerry apps on your Samsung phones or whatever, because BlackBerry licensed out the Hub suite. But other than that, that's like, okay, I can go buy a Samsung today and load up all the hub calendar and BBM on it, and it's still not a BlackBerry device. It just has BlackBerry apps on it. It's, again, typing on a virtual keyboard versus a keyboard. I want to choose the buttons on it that I'm going to feel more accurate with, going to feel a lot better with. And I want a device that's going to be secure and allow me to do things on my phone. Have to worry about some kind of malware system or anything like that. OnePlus 6 is a great device. Absolutely. No question about it. The Note 9 is probably going to be a fantastic device, but that doesn't have what I want. And for me to look for something that I want, I have to pay the price tag that, you know, now if the BlackBerry KEY2 was $800, yeah, okay, that's a different story. Because even, you know, this device being at $800, I probably wouldn't really want. If it had a slightly better processor, slightly better camera, then it's at $800, then it's a different story. But, you know, I don't, and we have to kind of remember what BlackBerry Mobile kind of said when they launched the KEYone. Right? What did they say? They're not looking to beat anybody right now. They're not looking to beat Samsung at sales. They're not looking to beat Apple at sales. They're not looking to beat OnePlus at sales. They know that there's a niche market right now for the keyboards for BlackBerry devices, and that's what they're aiming for. They're aiming for people like you and me.
They're building the brand name.
Yeah, they're building the brand name.
I mean, you know, a year ago or before the KEYone came out, when BlackBerry was mentioned, it was always, they're still alive, they're still a company. I thought they were gone. You know, you don't hear that anymore. The reviews on this KEY2 unit have been very, you know, very much so positive. There's essentially 2 reviews that I can think of that have been negative reviews towards it, as far as anybody that has any sort of following, right? Yeah. What they're trying to do is successful. Like, and that's kind of the thing. But how do you determine the price of an item? Well, the price of the item should be what somebody's willing to pay for it. I'm willing to pay it. You're willing to pay it. I know Clark paid probably a couple times, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, that determines the worth of the product. And then where he's talking about, I hear sales are poor. What's a poor sell? It's when you sell less than you planned. Like, remember the KEYone, as far as the amount of phones that they sold, I don't believe it was very much. I think it was actually very small, and it was wildly successful for them because they planned to sell less. When you plan to sell 1 million phones, but you only sell 800,000, well, that's a failure. But if you plan to sell 100,000 and you sell 400,000, you just had a bigger success than the company that sold 800,000 but planned to sell 100,000.
And BlackBerry Mobile, you know, and more, you know, kind of mention the other manufacturers that are licensed partners, but BlackBerry Mobile has, as far as I'm concerned, they've launched 3 successful or well-reviewed BlackBerry devices in a row. Yep. 3 of them, right? The KEYone.
I wish the Motion wasn't so forgotten. But
yeah, yes, the Motion is a forgotten device, but as far as review goes, it did really well. It had a crappy camera, right? Or not as great of a camera as the KEYone, but everything else on that device was fantastic. The KEYone had a great review record, right? KEY2 has a great review record. Name me the last BlackBerry devices before the KEYone, Motion, and the KEY2 to all have successful reviews, right? You have to go way back in the BlackBerry OS days.
The
Bold, right?
Yeah.
And then
probably the Bold,
the Passport, and maybe the Z30, right? Those are your 3 devices that had really good reviews, but none of them were consecutive, right? They all were kind of, and even the Passport and the Z30 were really well reviewed among BlackBerry sites. Right. Everybody else didn't review them very well, right? You know, and yeah, I mean, maybe the last BlackBerry devices that had, maybe the last manufacturers that had 3 good devices come out with really good reviews on them, right? I mean, Apple has some good reviews, not so good reviews, right?
Well, Apple blogs and Apple users will always give an Apple a good review, even if it blows up in their pocket. But then the outside world is like, why, people? Why?
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know too many device manufacturers that have gotten really good, successful device reviews technically in their first 3 devices, right? I mean, yeah, there's been BlackBerry devices before, but these are the first 3 devices officially made by BlackBerry Mobile or TCL. You know, yeah, they had their hands in the DTEX devices, and though I consider those more trial run devices than anything. You know, so that's like preseason, right? No one cares about preseason in football or sports, whatever sports ball that you don't follow, anything like that. But the leap is so underrated. Okay, we said
it really is.
We said successful reviews. But yeah, I don't know. I think price tag Could it be high? Maybe, but that's the price you have to pay to get a keyboard on your phone that you want. And security-wise, if you want to go buy a cheaper phone, go for it. By all means, have at it. I mean, have fun with your hackable Android device that has no keyboard to it, and might have a fancy camera to it. Wow, the hackers have lots of fun looking at you as you're using your phone.
And I mean, that really is the key. People are like, oh, but you get a better screen, you get, a better processor, which, by the way, that processor, there's very little difference between actual performance and a huge amount of difference between battery performance.
Yeah.
But my thing is it's great that you have a better screen, a better camera, a better processor. None of that is worth the price difference for me. I would not pay for any of those items personally. What I would pay for are exactly the items that I'm getting in my KEY2, which is the security, the keyboard, the BlackBerry suite and suite of apps and workflow that I've been used to for the majority of my life. Those things are worth money to me. An OLED screen that I can't see out in the sunlight, totally not worth it for me.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, and Kyle kind of made a good point, Android is a hard sell because there's so many devices out there. Maybe if BlackBerry Mobile kind of marketed this thing as a secure device, then it might be a different story. We saw a little bit of marketing come from BlackBerry Mobile during the event, and we saw that little video that they had. But I mean, as far as marketing goes, I think I heard somewhere that they were planning some kind of commercial somewhere down the road for an event. I don't remember when, but I haven't seen any marketing, which hopefully they changed their concept on that and market this device. But I'm not holding my breath for it because I don't expect it, because it's a BlackBerry device and there's never been a good BlackBerry commercial ever, really.
There seems to be like a curse when it comes to BlackBerry and marketing. And I mean, speaking as a BlackBerry fan, BlackBerry's always had these amazing devices and zero marketing, no matter who's in charge of the hardware now, right? And even their software, on the software side, and BBM, anybody that has anything to do with BlackBerry has zero marketing. Then you've got Apple, and I don't know what I'm allowed to say on this podcast or not, but Apple is crap. And they've got the best marketing in the world. That's the difference. It's like quality product, horrible marketing, crap product, the best marketing this world's ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I hate Samsung, I think their marketing's better, but that's just because they take jabs at Apple.
Yeah, which is what Apple used to do on their computer side.
Yeah, I mean, when they launched that ad during the event, I was like, oh, great, a actual really good BlackBerry. I mean, that ad was fantastic. It drove the point across that the BlackBerry KEY2 is here. You missed your old BlackBerry. Well, here's a BlackBerry device that's going to remind you of the past. And then
where's more of that?
We know that they can do it.
It was an amazing commercial.
Yeah,
and the most exciting thing to come out of that launch event was that commercial, and it just kind of went away.
Yeah, I mean, it's on YouTube somewhere, but I don't see it as an ad on YouTube. It's just a YouTube video, right? Just put it somewhere. Put it on in between Fox News or whatever. And I posted, I put it into the Bearporter BBM group that I shared I think a video or a photo from when the Phillies back in 2008 won the World Series, and the sponsor of the World Series that year, or the playoffs, it was like the divisional game. But the sponsor of that broadcast was BlackBerry, and there's a big BlackBerry logo in the back of the shot. And it's like, that is the advertising that we need nowadays. That we needed then too, but we need that back in the alignment. But yeah, if they market it at this device would probably sell better even with a $650 price tag. But yeah, so that's a little bit of our thoughts on the KEY2. I mean, that's if you want to know more, I'll have a review up sometime in the near year or something like that. But speaking of KEY2, Brad, did you know you can now secure your device even more with a case from Seidio?
I did know that because I read it on Barry Reporter today, and I need to get that on my site.
Yeah, at least one person read the site today, so that's always good. So yeah, Seidio. I mean, there's only a few accessory cases or accessory companies that I really like, and Seidio is one of them. Because
they're my favorite.
They put out some really good stuff, and they still make a belt clip for your BlackBerry, so that's the other portion that I like them for. But they launched 2 new cases, and technically they're belt clip. They have 2 belt clips, but one's really only for the case. So they have an optic case, which is a $15 case, which is very basic, very slim. They also have the Surface case, which I love because it has a kickstand to it, and comes in 3 different colors: black, blue, and red. The red looks really good. And they have the holsters, like I said, the spring clips that I get for every device that I've ever really owned, unless it's, unless BlackBerry comes out with their own holster, then I've gotten that holster. But the Seidio ones are always the ones I go for, because they're like the only ones that make a holster for anything anymore. And don't know why. I mean, they sell pretty well enough for Seidio to notice. But yeah, some really cool looking cases. They're about $30-$35. So if you're looking to get them, they're worth the price, I think, especially if they're protecting your phone. But
and yeah. I don't like what they did with the fingers on the side around the buttons. If you look at around the buttons, it looks like they've got fingers sticking out. I'd prefer they just not have those at all.
Yeah, you can cut those off. Okay.
Cut out. Yeah, exactly.
Snip.
Heat up a butter knife and melt them off.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. That's like the only portion. I'm not really a big case person. If you ask anybody, if you ask my girlfriend, I'll buy a case and 3 days later it's off and I'm not using it. So cases are useless to me. But the only thing I really use is the holster. And the other thing I did buy from Seidio that I still use. Well, it's kind of away right now, but they have the universal USB-C dock. They're kind of like a stand for it, so it's pretty cool. It works with anything USB-C. So any BlackBerry device that's come out recently, that's there to it. And yeah, it's a really cool little accessory that they offer as well. But let's see what else we got. Oh, so speaking of older devices, so the KEYone and the Motion apparently are getting Oreo right now. I haven't gotten it on my devices yet. Have you gotten it on yours?
Neither. Nothing. I keep mashing that button and nothing's happening.
Yeah, so either our devices are stuck somewhere very far away in the servers, or there's some people are getting it early and some people just haven't gotten it yet. I'm sure you just have to wait for it to hit our devices. My Motion and KEYone have been off in the drawer, so I was thinking maybe that's why, because it hasn't touched anything and network related in a week maybe. But yeah, hopefully that comes from, as far as I've been hearing, the beta's been going pretty well. I know we talked about this on the YouTube Blogcast with Erica, and she has the beta.
Right.
I think she said her phone was kind of running a little sluggish, but other than that, really well. And I'm kind of curious.
She didn't complain about that until the podcast.
Yeah, until
that was news to me.
Yeah. As soon as we mention it, that's a big issue now, right? So what I'm going to do with mine, I've kind of determined that I'm going to, once it comes to my Motion and KEYone, I'll probably use one next to the KEY2, or maybe just use one without, and take a break from the KEY2, and see if it works well enough. And if it doesn't work well enough, I'm going to factory reset the 2 devices and see what a clean install looks like. Because I feel, and I've said this on the YouTube Blogcast, that ever since I've used Android way back in the day, install a big update on top of whatever you have on there currently, it's bogs down. Then you go and factory reset the device, bring everything back from scratch. It works a whole lot better as far as I think
I think you're right on that. I think that should be standard direction there.
Which
I mean, that's a big update you're doing.
That's a big update, but that's something you shouldn't have to do. But that's technically the Android world that we live in now. If we never had to do that on BlackBerry 10, we never had to do it. Well, BlackBerry OS, you kind of had to do it, but BlackBerry 10.
Even on BlackBerry 10, man, every time we loaded leaks and any OS that wasn't there, I always did it clean. I always did a clean install.
Yeah, I've always done clean installs too, but that's you and me. We know what we're. So we know what we're doing. We know what we're doing, kind of. But for your average consumer, they shouldn't have to go reload everything that they don't probably have no clue what's backed up or passwords or anything like that, and reload on their BlackBerry device or Android device or whatever device they're using. But Yeah, those updates are apparently out there. I haven't seen them yet. Brad hasn't seen them yet, but people have reported that they're there. So we'll believe.
It's funny because I was hearing, I was hearing all day, was it yesterday, about the KEYone, and I posted it. And then today I started hearing about the Motion, but there's not a single person that I know that has got it. So I'm like, where is this coming from? I didn't post the Motion today because I still don't know a single person that's got it on the KEYone.
Yeah,
I'm just like, are these some weird rumors?
Well, the weird thing was that the key. So for well after the KEY2 was launched, everyone was like, all right, where's Oreo on the KEYone in Motion? And then BlackBerry Mobile did say, hey, it's coming. It's going to come slightly after the KEY2 launch, which I'm like, okay, fine. You want to market your new phone? Perfectly fine. And you can put like some beta rollout with the KEYone, right? They said, here's a beta. The users, no notice was mentioned about that. So it's like, okay, Motion, I guess they're gonna have some kind of separate beta for them maybe down the road. And then all of a sudden today we start hearing that there's a Motion Oreo update. So maybe they just didn't bother testing it with the masses, but I don't know. Maybe
there's less to test on a slab phone than on a keyboard phone. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I know the keyboard's different than the touchscreen device because you have to have the additional programming for the keyboard itself. So I thought maybe that's why they did extra testing on the KEYone just to make sure the keyboard worked with Oreo. But then I'm like, oh, they had the KEY2 already, so
yeah, exactly
for it. So you would think that, okay, they don't have a touchscreen device with Oreo running on it, so they would have done the beta test on the Motion compared to the KEYone. But I don't know. Maybe they're testing the beta to see if the servers could handle it. I don't know. But speaking of other BlackBerry devices, I know we've been talking a lot about BlackBerry mobile devices, but there was another BlackBerry device kind of announced, and that is from the folks over at Optimus, the BlackBerry Evolve and the Evolve X. And they're really good-looking phones.
They are.
And they're really...
Except for that fingerprint sensor.
Yeah, I don't know why that fingerprint sensor is in the back. But I'm going to chalk that up to being a Optimus thing and call it a day there. Because I don't know what, the Motion had it spot on when it was in the front. The KEYone, the KEY2 have had it spot on with it being on the spacebar. Optimus puts it on the back, and I'm like, you're not working with BlackBerry Mobile on that one, definitely.
I have heard people complain about the chin on the Motion, that it's too big. And it's like, come on, people. You guys love the Z30. And that thing was the Jay Leno phone. Yeah. But I understand people nowadays want all screen, as small a bezels as they can get. Yeah. I'd rather have a bezel with the fingerprint sensor on the front, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny when the KEYone launched. Everyone's big complaint was that there was no BlackBerry sign or logos on the front.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Motion launched, and they have a big BlackBerry logo on the front, and they're like, we need more. There's no logo on the front. Well, there's a big one right there in the fingerprint sensor. That's not enough. And it's all right. Does even Evolve even have that there? I don't remember. Does it? It has a logo, right? I thought it did.
Does it? Maybe start looking.
Possibly. I closed all my show notes in front of me here.
I was so afraid you were going to say that as you started talking about logos.
Yeah, I was afraid that I was going to say that too, and then I started talking about logos. So.
No, nothing that I can see.
Okay, yeah. So nothing's there. Yeah, so no logo there, but so let's talk about the Evolve and the Evolve X. First off, we have two devices. The name, I like it. Some people don't like it. I like it. Do you like it?
I like it, but I prefer the Ghost. I prefer its code name.
Well, I prefer the Mercury.
Like pretty much every BlackBerry throughout history, I've always preferred the code name over the marketing name.
BlackBerry Mercury, BlackBerry Krypton. preferred those names a lot better than KEYone, KEY2, great names. Motion's great name, but would have preferred to call my BlackBerry the BlackBerry Krypton, so I could fight Superman, with it. Get away, Superman! Here's my Krypton. The Evolve and the Evolve X, they're both touchscreen devices, and here's what kind of threw me off with it is the Evolve X. I was expecting it to be a bigger screen device. So when you think of, you have the iPhone and the iPhone Plus, you have the Samsung and the Samsung Plus, right? So I'm thinking X means bigger, right? Nope. X just means better, not really even better specs, just a better camera and a processor, and slightly more RAM. So, okay, so then
you got all these people all over the world saying, "Oh, the 660 is a bad chip," so they're like, "Okay, then here's a smaller one."
Here's a smaller one, and we'll save you some money. But we have to kind of remember that this is a device for a different market. We haven't got any word of that it's coming anywhere other than India, which is fine, I guess. I would love for it to come to the U.S. Or to North America, for that matter, all over the world. I want everybody to have it, but Evolve X, great. Throw some extra specs into there and slightly better camera to it. And the pricing is a little bit different. I think what's the price of it? The Evolve is $4 something, and the Evolve X is slightly more than that. But the wireless charging is kind of a cool thing, right? I know a lot of people wanting wireless charging on a BlackBerry device, on the recent BlackBerry devices for that matter, but it's not a necessary thing to have for me, but it's something that would be convenient for me to have on a BlackBerry device. So that's nice that they're getting it. But that means that phone is made of some kind of glass material, right, on that back?
No, it doesn't have to be glass. I mean, I think it's just I think it's a grippy material on back.
Yeah.
It basically just can't be metal.
Yeah. So we'll see what that is about. But why
are you bringing up all these things I don't know the answer for, Brad?
I don't know the answers for either. So that means two Brads are clueless. The cameras are slightly better. One's monochrome, the other one is not. So that's cool. I mean, do you think there was really? So if say this device is coming to North America, and they came out that Evolve and Evolve X, do you think there would be and I know why they did this, because they want some people to buy the lower end device and still buy a BlackBerry device. But do you think they should have just Evolved X and that's it?
You mean if like TCL decided to sell it to their market? Yeah, definitely just the Evolve X. It doesn't seem like people are too thrilled with the Evolve. But I really do want just a really cheap entry-level BlackBerry device. Yeah. But I don't think a touchscreen is the way to go.
No, I don't think the touchscreen is the way to go. I mean, we said this on the YouTube broadcast that you think of BlackBerry, back in the day, BlackBerry devices, they were like the leader in entry-level devices everywhere. And even when BlackBerry was struggling in North America and in US and Canada, they were kicking butt still in other countries in the Indonesian lower end device market, because they were making good devices at a really good price for like $100, $200 devices, and people were buying them up left and right. That's what they did in North America.
Some of that had to do with Bez too, though, because Biz, because they could get much cheaper data service.
Well, yeah, that's why they sold them cheap devices, because they knew that they wanted the cheaper data services, and here, we'll make $100 phone for you, or whatever price it was. So when you think of BlackBerry, you were expecting lower end device makes a lot of sense. And for a company like TCL, and we'll kind of get to this in a bit, but for a company like TCL that has a brand called Alcatel that is well known to be in the cheap low end market, you would think that they would be in favor of that. Now, I don't want them to be like, cheap low end devices, here we come, and sell that all the time. I really don't want TCL getting that mindset and just low end everything. But
Well, they stated they wanted BlackBerry to be their premium device.
Yeah.
Early on, but at the same time, it's like you want to grow that market. The best way to grow that market is through entry-level devices.
Yeah, price tag, right? If I can get a lower cost BlackBerry device for lower costs, then that's going to get me kind of into the brand. That that was always the concept behind like the low end BlackBerry devices back in the day. BlackBerry was expecting you to buy a BlackBerry Curve, right, and really love the BlackBerry experience, love the keyboard, love the trackpad, trackball, whatever it was at the time, and then want to go up a level, right? You want to go to a Bold or whatever. And I really think that, kudos to Optimus for doing it like this. Here's your Evolve, get your little, taste buds going here, and then go up to the Evolve X if you're. I don't think expect them to do that because then you're going to be buying a phone right away. But, I would wonder if TCL is going to do that. If that's the reason behind it with Optimus right now, for launching two devices, kind of, they want a device for everybody, which is great by all means. I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing it like this, but it just makes you wonder why they're doing it slightly wide like this. But it's a cool looking device. I really hope that we see it in the other markets. Maybe with the fact that TCL let Optimus sell the KEYone, that Optimus will return the favor and let TCL sell the Evolve and Evolve X. But the other thing that I was kind of thrown off by that we discovered, or I helped you guys discover last podcast, is the Evolve and the Evolve X don't have a SD card slot. Sure.
Actually, there's somebody that responded that was listing off that it does have an SD card.
Oh, okay. Well,
I did not go and check into that either which way.
Yeah, well, that makes me feel better if at least somebody said that there is an SD card slot, because nobody said it before. So the fact that one person said that there is, that makes me feel slightly better, but I need to see it to believe it. And speaking of people who might want to buy this device, the kind folks over at YouTube Blogs did a poll, and I stole that poll from them for my topic list because they're nice to me. And they asked, will you be buying a BlackBerry Evolve? I don't know if these numbers are accurate or not, but from when I pulled them, 61% of the people said they wanted to buy the Evolve X now, and then 27% said not at this time.
So that's us. That's the market outside of India, right? Because I did two polls.
Yeah, and then the other poll was, would you buy Evolve model in your market? And 83% said yes, bring it. And then 16% said no, I'll stick with what's offered in my market. So
there you go.
Apparently, people want this device, right? In other markets.
Well, these are people that come to a BlackBerry blog, though. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, we might be getting we're always talking about kind of a lower end spec device. We might be kind of getting that. There's been this device coming out here and there that's called the BlackBerry, or kind of code name. There's really no official code name for this device. That it's been rumored as the BlackBerry KEY2 LE Light Edition. That's what I'm going to call it. SE, right? That's taken by something else already before the BlackBerry.
They could have called it the PE, the plastic edition.
Yeah, but then when Pi comes out, they kind of be like, well,
the BlackBerry KEY2 Pi P.
So this is from what we've been kind of gathering, is that this is a lower end spec BlackBerry KEY2 that's going to hit some markets. I don't know where. I'm assuming everywhere that the KEY2 is.
I would assume so.
So kind of rundown. These are spec coming from Android Police. This is going to have a Snapdragon 636, 4 gigs of RAM, either 32 or 64 gigs of storage, 4 to 5 inch display, 1080 by 620 or 1620 LCD, which is the same on the KEY2. 3,000 milliamp battery and a 13 and 5 megapixel camera compared to the 12 and 12. And then the measurements are all the same. So, what do you think? Oh, the other rumor of this device, before I let you think about it or talk about it, is that it supposedly won't have a capacitive keyboard to it, which we've all come to love on our BlackBerry keyboard devices. Now, I know you don't like this and you think it's a big no-no or a big mistake for them to do. I kind of agree with you and I kind of don't, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, that's essentially it. I want them to bring out I'm assuming this will be a mid-range phone as far as pricing goes. I'd love to see like an entry-level phone, but I'm assuming a mid-range. There are lots of things that I would be okay with them downgrading as far as the processor and the screen and the battery and you know, to get it to an entry-level device. I'm not cool with that, taking the capacitive keyboard away. I think that is an error in judgment as far as bringing the cost down, because I think that is a competitive advantage, especially when dealing with a physical keyboard. There's a lot of people out there that have this idea the physical keyboard that's what grandpa uses, or that's what Brad uses, right? That's what the old guy uses. And I don't want to use that. But then when you have that capacitive keyboard, it brings a new quality to it. You know, it's not just the old curve or bold that you had 10 years ago. Yep. This does something. And I think we're missing out by not having that on it.
Yeah, and I agree, you know, and the only thing I can think of is it's cost saving, right? So they want to keep the cost down on the device, so take away the capacitive keyboard, which I really want to know if that is true. I want to know how much of a cost difference we're talking here.
Yeah.
I can't see it being, you know, if I'm going through the cost of the device and looking for ways to shave off cost, I really don't see it. I mean, again, I don't know officially what these prices of hardware is or anything like that, but I can't see the capacitive keyboard being that well worth taking off to make up for the user experience that you're losing, right? One of the
cut the memory, cut one camera. You know, there's so many things that you could cut.
Don't make a 32 or 64 gig phone. Just make a 32 gig phone, right?
Exactly.
We know people have been fine on the KEYone, right? Not that I say I love having 64 gigs on my KEY2, but you know, I know people who don't need 64 gigs on their phone, especially if you're going to include expandable storage, right? But you know, the capacitive keyboard, again, I understand why they're doing it if they're trying to cut price, or I kind of understand, but then again, I don't, because it's one of the best features on the phone, right? You know, one of the most easy to explain features on the phone, easy to show off features on the phone that you would want people to market your phone for. You know, it's like if I'm using my phone, I don't use my phone screen to scroll through anything anymore. It's the keyboard scrolling through, and that's it. You know, if I have to, you know, and it kind of makes me want, I would love to have a, you know, ability to click things with my keyboard. That's a, you know, a different topic, but, you know, that ability to do that, be able to scroll through my inbox or scroll through a website or Twitter or Instagram or anything, which is by scrolling on my keyboard, you know, that's a really good feature to have. And to not have it, you know, I can only imagine myself using this phone, right? Using it coming from the KEY2 and be like, wait, I can't scroll. That kind of kills my, you know, my stride there.
I've always looked at inexpensive or entry-level phones as that. It's a phone that we could use to talk people into giving BlackBerry a try, right? You're not going to go broke if you give this a try. Try it, see if you like it, you know, and then if you like it, move on to something a little bit better. Yeah. And that, you know, that capacitive keyboard is a big win. That's something that does win people over. It's something that shocks people when you show them. Yep. You know, I'm sure you've done it where you're showing somebody your phone and you show them that and they can't believe that that's happening on a capacitive keyboard or on a physical keyboard. And you're just losing that. I mean, like a worse screen, a single camera, no fingerprint sensor, less memory, any number of things that could be cut off, and I would be raw-rawing this phone. But when you lose the capacitive keyboard, it's a mistake. I'm saying it's a mistake. I said it here first or second, actually.
You said it. Yeah, you're second. But you know, it's one of those features where, okay, I kind of get where you're coming from. Let's see, you want to cut money, cut costs, right? But then again, that's a big feature. It's like selling your BlackBerry device without, I don't want to say without the keyboard, but that's kind of like And it's like selling the KEY2 and putting a Pearl keyboard on it.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody remembers the Pearl keyboard. Not a very fun thing to type on. I know some people could do it. We could type on their Pearl, but I was never a fan. So, you know, so it's like putting that keyboard on the KEY2 and saying, here's your phone. You know, you're kind of taking away the full experience of that keyboard, which is, you know, not, you know, a great thing to do. But, you know, I kind of feel like this is a phone that they're marketing towards people who don't know about this phone. So they're not marketing it towards you and I. They're marketing it towards somebody who's going to go through, who's going to be walking through Walmart one day or walking through Best Buy one day and see this device as a prepaid phone for AT&T's prepaid unit or Boost Mobile or something like that, and say, hey, look, a very inexpensive phone for $300 that I had a keyboard for. Oh, and it's a BlackBerry device? Great. Here's your money. They're not, I don't, you know, are people going to know about this phone? Yes. But I don't think that's not necessarily who it's marketed towards or who it's for. So I don't know.
But it's going to feel old. You know, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about it, and that's what I'm thinking. You know, the physical keyboards were a thing of the past. They really were. They're those of us, you, me, anybody that's watching this or listening to this, whatever, we've all stuck with them because we love them. But the market moved away from physical keyboards. Everybody's on these slabs, and they come up with the most ridiculous excuses for why they think it's better. They're not. But the capacitive keyboard makes that physical keyboard feel modern. Yep. As opposed to feeling like an old texting phone from the days before smartphones.
Yeah, and you know, I know there's a lot of people out there who turn that feature off, or not a lot, but there's some people out there who turn the capacitive keyboard setting off. But you know, and I'm sure that's what BlackBerry was going by because they can see who turns that feature on and off. But I really hope they don't start going by things that people don't use, because I mean, there's some people out there who don't use the BlackBerry Hub because they don't like the hub, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's
I'm toast if there's no hub.
Yeah.
I gotta have the hub.
Yeah, I mean, and Kyle in the chat is saying that the capacitive keyboard might be an expensive product or feature to produce. I guess if they're cutting it, right? You know, for cost. So
they shouldn't be anymore. They've been around since the Passport. You know, and I'm not somebody that uses the heck out of the capacitive keyboard. I use it to scroll. Sometimes I use it to swipe a word, but very rarely. Yeah. But at one point I had a Passport and a Classic. The Classic didn't have the capacitive keyboard.
Nope.
And even though I wasn't a heavy user, I mean, I think I swiped words less with my Passport.
Yeah.
But so man, you missed it.
Yeah. Well,
you missed it on the Classic.
You did. The one thing I kind of just thought about is, so if there's no capacitive keyboard, does that mean you can't flip type anymore?
No, you can't.
Yeah. So that kills another feature, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And again, this is a rumor that has been floating around. We don't know if this is official or not. So it could be a false rumor that's coming from somewhere. But and apparently on August 30th, BlackBerry Mobile was announcing something at IFA in Germany or in Berlin. So this is probably what they're announcing. There's no concrete information that says this is what they're announcing, but I have pretty good knowledge that this is what they're announcing. But you know, so we'll find out then. And I really hope they don't say the capacitive keyboard's not there anymore, because I'd be like, well, that's kind of crappy. But
I kind of hope they announce it and show it and say, we're not releasing this right now because the Brad said it needed a capacitive keyboard.
Yeah,
so we're going to be a few weeks.
We watched one episode of the Bear Report podcast that took forever to get the episode 82. And we determined that their thoughts on the BlackBerry devices are right and ours is wrong. So that's what they're one of the two viewers of the podcast right now. So what else we got? That's it. That's as far as anything else you could think of that we're missing here. We haven't really seen any BBM updates, big feature updates, which is kind of odd because BBM's been kind of quiet lately.
Yeah.
compared to what they've been. I don't know why, but maybe they think we have all the features that we need and we're satisfied, but we want more. Yeah, if you're listening. Yeah. Someone in the chat asked earlier how the KEY2 sales are going. I don't think we're ever going to find that out because they never said anything about the KEYone or the Motion for that matter. And so I don't think they'll be quiet on that for a bit unless we hear any TCL earnings call, which I know TCL is not really doing too well company-wise, but that's a different story.
Well, they did say on the KEYone it beat expectations, and I think that is the extent of what we're ever going to hear on any of these phones.
I would think, and I wonder if the KEY2 is going to sell any less because that people already have the KEYone, and they're not like you and me who go out and buy these phones right away. A lot of these people are like, oh, I have a KEYone, I'm good for 2 more years. Thanks to AT&T or my contractor. Oh, that's the other thing. We haven't really mentioned that. How surprised are you that none of the carriers have said anything about this KEY2?
I'm not surprised anymore. I mean, here's the thing. There's really no money to be made in cell phones anymore. I mean, if you walk into an AT&T or a Verizon or a T-Mobile, they're not running to sell you phones anymore. They're running to sell you those other services.
Yeah.
There's just not much money in phones anymore. They really are just a commodity now. And I think more people are holding on to their phones longer, and we're seeing these updates that are pretty minimal in terms of these phones.
Yeah, I mean, even like the Note, right? They go from Note 8 to Note 9. There wasn't really it's not much of a difference between the two devices. I mean, under the hood, but it's not, if you're a customer walking through an AT&T store, you're not going to be like, ooh, look, that processor's a lot better on that phone. Let me buy that phone.
Yeah.
It's not like the car engine. You can lift up the hood and be like, oh, that's a really good engine right there. But
I think the carriers are going to have the #1 selling phones and the cheap phones. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be their range. And these niche phones like the BlackBerries just aren't going to be.
I always thought, I've been saying this for a while, that I think carrier stores are not going to sell phones eventually.
Yeah.
Because we're halfway there already, because a lot of these manufacturers push people to buy their phones on their websites, right? HTC, look, that's a great example. I don't think I've seen any HTC phones in a store recently, and that's because you can buy them on HTC.com. And same thing with Google, right? Google has one carrier, and Verizon's it, and that I'm sure that's some kind of money agreement, but that was probably something smart on their end, because like, oh, we'll just let one carrier sell it and we'll sell the rest, because it's how people buy their phones nowadays. I mean, most people buy their phones at unlocked or full retail price. Even with the carriers, right? They buy these monthly installment plans, and even the manufacturers have some kind of same concept where if you buy a phone from Google, they'll let you pay $20 a month for it for 2 years until you pay it off.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel phone stores are going to be more just service, right? My bill's wrong. My phone's not working. Help me out. Right. That's it. They're not going to be there to sell you a phone anymore, unless it's, or you're going to push you towards like a Best Buy or a Walmart to buy these phones. And, again, BlackBerry is kind of that has already seen that direction go, because they sell you a phone on Amazon and BestBuy.com, right? That's it. That's where you can get these phones at. I'd be shocked if none of these carriers announce one of these phones. I kind of feel like the carriers might bite on the LE device.
Right. I do too. So I think we'll see the LE in carrier shops.
I'm kind of surprised that AT&T or Sprint hasn't grabbed this phone, because they're the only two that sold a phone or the KEYone for that matter, but nobody sold the Motion. So I don't know. I don't think the carriers are sold in these devices anymore, or devices for that matter. But Kyle says the Note 9 is the most disappointing phone of the year. That might be true. I don't know. He said the iPhone 8 isn't selling well as expected. Phones are enough now. Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's not really too many big changes with phones, right? Back in the day, you had.
There's really not.
you had the iPhone come out with the big screen, and there's a screen you could touch on, right? So people went from BlackBerrys to iPhones. Now you have this Samsung phone that looks a lot like an iPhone, that looks a lot like an LG phone. You know, they all do the same thing nowadays. So, you know,
I got caught up the other day looking through different photos of old phones. I'm talking before smartphones, all the Nokias and the LGs and all. I mean, it's, man, back then you had no idea what was coming next.
Oh, yeah.
You know, as far as shapes and styles and keyboards, and this was before the touchscreens, you know, and I remember that because I was actually excited about phones and buying them. And I remember there was one that had, I think it was the Engage. It was like a video game phone before video games were really a thing.
Yep.
I mean, now everything you get is a slab of glass. Yep. And it's like, man, come on now.
I was helping a customer, a user at work, help set up their phone, and they're going from like an iPhone SE to an iPhone 6S, and they're like, "Oh, what's the difference?" Screen size, same operating system. Does this work? No one work any different than the other one? It's the same phone. Like, you're getting a bigger screen. That's it. But
this one's getting throttled less than that one.
Yeah, this one was. Lightly explode on you, the other one will really explode. Well, that is it for this week's episode of the Bear Report podcast. I didn't put this in the show notes, but the Bear Report podcast is now available on, I think, every streaming or podcast app. It's on. I know before the last episode we did that we weren't available on Google Play Music. We are now back on Google Play Music. I think we're just on their new Google Podcast app, which I haven't really touched yet, but we're on everything that you could think of: Spotify, Google Play Music, podcasts, Stitcher. What else? I'll put up a link in the description of the or the post of the podcast, and you can choose your platform of choice to listen to the podcast. But thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you to be Brad for hanging with me on this podcast. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll see you guys around later.
Bye.